Kamala. What?
What do you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably the most fabricated public figure on the planet right now. I mean, what do you say? When she was in law, when she was a district attorney, the joke was in California that if you were a defense attorney and you found out you were going up against Kamala Harris in the prosecution, you high-fived your client and said, "We got this." She was known all across the Western legal system as one of the stupidest morons up there. And she proves it every day. She proves it. You just compare her mind to someone like a J.D. Vance. And I mean, it's just, I mean, what do you even say about it? It's obviously she has a really hard time being in front of a camera, being in front of people, being in front of us, a puffball interviewer. I mean, it's just,
yes.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
But is it possible that DEI got her all the way to running for president? Is that possible?
It is possible, and you have about 45% of our population ready to reward that because they hate the other side so much. They've learned to hate the MAGA side so much. And again, it's similar dynamics I know are going across the pond. Where I have to say on our side, because of the strength of religiosity and traditional Christianity on our side, there's still an empathy that I see for people on the left. I mean, you see it even just the way we stand up for free speech. No, go ahead, say your piece, but allow me to say mine, and let's let the best argument win. I think this is why Elon Musk has been coming over and Jordan Peterson have been coming over to our side. But their side is just animated with this radical perspectivalism that says, if you do not comport to our way of thinking, you, ironically, are a heretic. Yes. And heretics must be punished. They must be burned. Hence cancel culture. It's a form of secular
and there is a level up from there, isn't there? I've got to get your take on the assassination. You have a touching anecdote, I think, at the end of the book, but I get the impression most of this book was written by the time the assassination had taken place. But you've got a touching story at the end, which I won't spoil for people. But yeah, what was your take on what are now two assassination attempts?
Yeah, two assassination attempts. Yeah. It was we've all been saying it's not a matter of if, it's only a matter of when somebody would try it. We've all been saying that because the rhetoric against Trump is so over the top. I think the latest article, was it from the Atlantic or the New Yorker? It was the headline, Trump sounds like Hitler, Mussolini, and Mao all rolled up in one. And everyone just started to laugh. It was one of the most mocked, So we've graduated from Trump is Hitler to Trump is Mussolini to Trump is Mao to now let's just throw them all together, And
stick Genghis Khan in there as well. Why not? Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the most famous moral dilemmas that we have in hypothetical ethics is, if you could have taken Hitler out, would you have? And 99% of people say, sure, yeah. Well, there you go. This kid Crook tried to, ironic last name, tried to take him out, and the radical incompetence. I mean, somebody actually described it as apocalyptic incompetence on the part of the Secret Service does seem to suggest a kind of intentional neglect. That's how Jack Posobiec puts it in his book. He just wrote a book on the shooting.
You could view it as sort of this sarcastic terrorism term that the left sort of originally engendered. You can say, okay, well, on one hand, they're creating a pool of likely shooters with their media appearance. Now, they know that in any large population, you've got 350 million people to pick from. You run that sort of rhetoric, you are going to generate naturally a number of people who want to take that shot. And the only thing you need to add to that is opportunity. And it is quite clear that opportunities are being left open in order for that to happen. And And, this story has gone very quiet, like a lot of these things do.
Yeah.
I mean, the Las Vegas shooter and a whole bunch of other ones, they've gone very quiet. And Trump seems to go very quiet on it himself. But I don't think missing a bullet by a quarter of an inch is the sort of thing that you just forget about after a few months. I hope that he's going to bring the hammer down on the deep state and the mechanisms that the liberals are running the moment he comes into power.
Yes, with him and with Robert Kennedy. Robert Kennedy Jr. was one of the first people he talked to afterward. I think that was it. That's when they made the decision to realign, create a populist alignment between the two. And Elon Musk as well. Elon's already joking. I remember when I took over Twitter, I fired 80% of the workforce there. We can do the same thing in D.C. Yeah, exactly. And it's so much better now.
That would be superb. Yeah, I mean, one of the guys said to me here, he says, do you think maybe we're doing too many segments on Trump and Elon? And I said to him, well, yeah, but if this was 48 BC and we had a podcast then, would you be complaining that we're doing too many segments about Pompey and Caesar and Mark Antony? And you got to go with the great men of the time, haven't you? I mean, that's the fascinating stuff.
Yeah, it's what I think Patrick Deneen refers to as Aristo-populism, where he draws from Aristotle on that. Aristotle said you can have an oligarchy that rules for its own values, interests, concerns, and completely disregards and dismisses the people, this sort of Marie Antoinette sort of thing. Let them eat cake, right? Or on the other hand, you can have a total mass, French Revolution uprising, democracy in its ultimate sense, where it's just mob rule. What you want is a balance. You want an Aristo-populism. And again, the best of when British society is at its best, this is what you guys do like no one else. You have an aristocracy that puts into reality, that uses their power and their influence to make a reality the values and interests and concerns of the people who do not have the means to do it themselves. And when you have an Aristo-populism like that, Aristotle says you have the basis for a flourishing society. And I think that's what these guys represent.
You want competing tendencies amongst the elites, because like you say, if it's not going to be amongst the elites, that circulation of power, it's going to have to be the full French Revolution. It's going to have to be that full undoing of a civilization, which could be quite cathartic at this point, but it would also be there'd be a lot of drama that went along with it.
You said it, I did it.
Yeah.
You said it.
You probably don't want to go there. So you want these sort of competing tensions in the elites. But we've had for decades now a system where the system has been so predictable and so uniform that we've had a class of elites who are all basically aligned interest. And that's simply by virtue of the fact that you would not be an elite if you did not compete very well in this stable environment.
That's exactly right.
So you've got this stable elite, but now we've got a new elite emerging. Elon is probably the best example of that. Somebody who does not adhere to the old model. And there's a bunch of others. I mean, the former PayPal guys, the David Sachs and the
Peter Thiel.
Peter Thiel, that's the one. You're getting all of these characters emerging. It looks like they're not happy having all of this sort of power and money, but no sort of political influence. And they're
exactly right.
Yeah, they're going to try and push through one way or another.
And to close the loop on that, J.D. Vance embodies that, because J.D. Vance made his money with Peter Thiel. So he brings together Appalachian working class with the new tech right that's rising up, these kind of anti-Silicon Valley techies like Elon Musk, like Peter Thiel, like Vivek Ramaswamy, and so forth. And no one embodies this sort of Aristo-populist movement like J.D. Vance.
Yeah.
To watch the full video, please become a premium member at lotuseaters.com.